San Jose and preaching at my church. I did more burials than I did presentations or baptisms at the very beginning. But praise the Lord that when I left, there were more baptisms and more and weddings and things that were happening in the church. But see, this is the reality of our churches. And so what I want you to see is that in the year 2003, we have Hispanics as an ethnic group, but we have other ethnic groups within our district NPLAD. So the General Council looks at the report, and when you say, I have so many Hispanics in my church, they put that in a number, under categories. So in our district, the Hispanics are, in 2003, they were 26,617 were reported in 2003 in our district. In NCN, or the Northern Cal Nevada district, have 18,822 Hispanics of origin. Now, why is this important? I want you to see their growth, and I want you to see where we are, or where we have been. Now, 2004, we went down to 23,403. Maybe some churches didn't report, I don't know. But that's the number that is in the General Council archives. 23,403. NCN went up to 20,538. In the year 2005, we went up again to 25,433. NCN went up to 20,980. 06, 25,157. We slid a little, and they went up 21,954. Year 07, we went up 26,246. They went up 23,244. Year 08, we went up 26,280. They went up 23,718. Now, NCN has an NPLAD district within them. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, why is this? And I'm glad, because your churches are English, but now you have a challenge. What are you going to do with the Spanish-speaking communities that you're in? God has given you the privilege to minister to the second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever generation of Hispanics you have in your churches. But what are you going to do with the first generation of Spanish speakers that are in your community? Your church, as a kingdom church, has a responsibility, that reverse responsibility that all the other regions in our district have. You must have a Spanish ministry or a Spanish church that you're running 3 churches within your church. This is a reality that we have here. This is a reality that we must address. And so the challenge we have is, I'm glad NCN is growing. We want people to be reached for the kingdom of God. But let me tell you, we have the taste for the real Hispanic food. We're the ones that eat the real chili. We're the ones that eat the real tacos. We're the ones that understand the culture. We're the ones that speak the language. And why are we not going to do it? And if you cannot do it, find a minister that can be mentor under your pastorship and launch him out under your umbrella. And let me tell you, we will be more than glad to say, let's partner together and let's reach out and let's do this work. Because this is what it's about. This is what God has called us to do. The next slide. It talks about, why is it then that we have to do what the superintendent is talking about? Plant, revitalize, and recruit. Plan, revitalize, and recruit. Because this is the graphic. Let's just go to the next. What we need to do is, because the reality is we have to grow. I mean, remember, put yourself in the growing process. Go back to when you were 5. You can't get into the same shoes, right? Even when you were a teenager. I met people who keep clothes in their wardrobes from when they were in high school. And I only know one person that still fits in there, and I'm not going to say who that is. But many of us can look at that stuff in the wardrobe and we simply say, oh, that's a nice memory. But we don't fit in that clothes anymore. Because we've grown. We've been blessed, right? Whichever way you've been blessed, the reality is that we grow as human beings. The church is not an institution. The church is a living organism. It's alive, and we're growing. We need to grow. The second reason why we have to plant new churches, revitalize missions, and recruit new ministers is because we have to deal with the attrition factor. Ministers, men and women of God who have labored devotedly and faithfully, they pass away. Pastor Camarillo, you know, he invested his whole life in educating a generation and then multiple generations, but he's no longer with us. He's already celebrating his victories. But we're here, and those that learn at his feet are now laboring. Are we going to learn from them? What are we going to do? Brother Pozos, Brother Tañón, you guys call them the Godfather. Well, you learn from him, right? I never called him that. I simply called him Pastor Tañón. But to me, he was also a mentor in different ways. Brother Pozos, Brother Libaca, all these leaders who have done their part. We have learned at their shadows. And now we have a shadow. I don't know how big your shadow is, but it's your opportunity. This is your season. This is your time. And we must seize the moment and have the opportunity to invest in the lives of others. Let me just continue here. Go to the next one. There's three things that we're saying we're doing, and we're calling it the multiplication project. The multiplication project is what this district wants to focus on in the next 10 years. And we want to focus on that. Is we're going to have to plant new churches. The multiplication project 1, plant new churches. Multiplication plan 2, revitalize district affiliated churches. I understand we're not saying, even though we have churches that need to be revitalized, we understand that they're sovereign churches. We understand that the pastor there might feel that, you know, I don't need to be revitalized. That's okay. But the mission churches are under our care. And we want to be intentional about that. And the third is we want to recruit credential new ministers. And here we're saying, go to the next slide. What we're saying under some of these things is that we need to realize that in the next decade we need to have a plan, and it's the 1075 plan. And what we're saying we want to do here is the following. We want to come along and we want to this year partner with 3 churches, or partner with 3 regions or sections to launch out 3 new churches. There's already one being launched out in Gonzales in the area of Salinas. There's one already being looked at in the area of Clovis, in the area of the Northern California area. We're already looking at other places. And if we remember, our average was 2.6. What we're saying is in 2011, let's plant 3 churches. 2012, 3 churches. 2013, 5 churches. 2014, 7 churches. 2015, 7 churches. 2016, 10, 17, 10 churches, 18, 10 churches, 19, 10 churches, 2020, 10 churches. We can target 75 churches to be planted in the next 10 years. I believe we can do it. Pastors are already doing it on their own, but they're struggling sometimes. And what we're saying here with this plan, let's go to the next slide. What we're saying with this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it through a concept of regional paternity. You know, when people in the world don't want to do the marriage covenant, but they want to do everything else, and then suddenly they don't want to take the responsibility of being the parent of the child that's coming, there's a test that's called the paternity test. They can always check up and see if it's the father or not. Well, we don't want to be checking out who's the parent of the church. We want you to become the parent of the church as a region, as a section. And what we're saying is let's partner up. Let's come together. You have human resources that we can use in those areas. Let's come as a team. Why think about as a tribe, the tribal mindset, the clan mindset? Let's come along as a kingdom mindset. I don't take the credit, you don't take the credit, God takes the credit. And we come along and we're saying, if you can partner in the region, let's identify the city that is longing to have and is needing to have a church. English or Spanish, we'll do it. And let's come down on that. And what we're saying is 20 churches in a region can make a pledge of 24 months to say, you know what, we'll give $100 per month. We already pledged to missionaries. We have helped churches be built. We have purchased properties in Central America. And when I say we, meaning in our ministry, in Central America, churches or purchase houses for pastors. We have contributed to missionaries in Spain and Africa and all over the place on a monthly basis. Why not in our own backyards? Why not in our own communities? If each church, if each business in our churches says, you know, Pastor, I want to contribute to that cause, but it's up to you to encourage them. What if an individual said, Pastor, I want to give for that cause. I want to make sure there's a church in that town. And we begin to commit for, we do this commitment for a 24-month period, 2 years, $100 pledge. That money that comes together from that region or that section would help launch out this work. We struggle because of the resources. Let's come together as a team and let's do this. What we're saying here is that we want to use the resources, partner with the district affiliated churches to revitalize and identify and implement mechanisms to assist the local church with short and long-term mission trips. We have a mission, and listen to this. Oregon is a vast territory. We have a mission church in the city of Ontario, Oregon. Not Canada, this is Ontario, Oregon. 10 years ago, a lay person was handed over a set of keys and told, hold the fort just for a little while and we'll get someone to pastor the church. 10 years later, and after many trips of many other superintendents, assistant superintendents, secretary of treasurers to that place, the man's still there, waiting for somebody to come and pastor the church. He's done the best he can, but he has no training. He has no biblical training. He loves God, and he can quote a lot of scriptures, but he's burned out. And I'm sharing you what I just saw this month of December. My heart was broken because I'm saying, God, I remember when I wanted to go pastor a church and everybody told me no. I remember when I said, God, I want to do it. And they told me, you're not ready. And I go there now and I see these men serving God and I say, where are our ministers? We have them in our churches because it's our benefit to keep them there. Release the men that God has entrusted under you. Release them to do the work of ministry. This church can grow. It has a building. It has potential. It just needs someone with faith and belief that God has called them. Young man, young lady, believe me, you may not be totally equipped and prepared, but if the heart's right, God will lead you in the path. I'm looking at two girls that want to go to a church in Mesa, Oregon. And they're going to help another pastor. Another one that was left there with doing the work. And he's been doing great. Now under the leadership of Brother Baca, he began to get himself qualified to credential. And now we're finishing up the process. He's doing a great job. And we want to send a team of girls to go there and help this summer. This is what this is about. You're saying, well, you know, I'm here in the church and I do worship. Well, there's 20 singing. We can take 2. Let us have 2 for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. Have them in your church as a missionary, raise funds for them, and send them out. Trust that God can do it. We have other places in this valley that are needing the help. Maybe they don't want to take it directly from you, but they will take it from the district. And we want to do that. This is what this is about. The next one. I get too emotional when I talk things sometimes. But the last one here, we're talking about recruiting, and what we want to do is identify them. We want to train, and we want to credential them. There are efforts being done at the individual and local level through LABI extensions, through global study groups, through Master's Commission, and through other different means. But let me tell you, we have to create a system, a standardized system where we know what we're training everybody. Because we're going to churches and pastors are having difficulties because they haven't been trained in the area of finances. They haven't been trained in the area of ethics. And they're having conflict with the pastor next door. You know, calling their members and taking their members. And I mean, things that we can prevent if we can do the work from the beginning. So I just want to share this with you. I want to place this burden in your hearts and tell you, if you as pastors, if